Well, I wanted to come on and talk about integrity and authenticity and what it means to what it means in regards for manifestation and why it's important. And I feel like the words integrity and authenticity come pretty loaded. Like just kind of, if you just notice in your body what shows up for you around those words. Authenticity, inauthenticity, integrity, and being out of integrity. I really learned the principles behind these originally with Landmark Worldwide. If you're not familiar, it's a global company that offers transformational experiences for people around creating a life that they love, that works. It's very powerful work. And so what do I want to speak to? There's so much about that. And my dog wants to talk to you. Bailey, do you want to come join the conversation? Want to talk about authenticity and integrity? Come here. You can come here and you can join the conversation. Jump up. Good girl. Okay, so I am in my manifestation curriculum. There's 8 phases, which follow the wheel of the year, and we currently are in the beta format of this course and had an intensive a week ago last Sunday around these topics, authenticity and being out of integrity, and what that has to do with manifestation. And so essentially what that has to do with manifestation is if you're being inauthentic, it means that you are not acting in accordance with what you are committed to. So there's a dishonesty. And it's not like, oh, you're a liar. I mean, being dishonest, I guess you could say that makes you a liar, but it's really like the feeling and the flavor of it is really like, where aren't you connected to what's true for you? Where are you operating outside of what you're actually committed to? And then you integrity really falls into step with that, because integrity is then doing what you say you're going to do. And when you break your word and what you say you're going to do, that you acknowledge it, own it, and clean it up without all this moral judgment and shame that can often accompany it. And as many coaches and transformational workers will attest to, as facilitators of whatever we're delivering in our offerings, oftentimes what happens is when we're delivering something as a facilitator, we also get served that in our own lives. And so I wanted to come here and share vulnerably about 3 areas, kind of, in broad strokes without revealing too much specifics, to honor the sanctity of those situations, but to at least give a vivid transmission of where I've been getting schooled and where I've been inauthentic or out of integrity, and what it took to clean that up, and what the consequences are and the impact on my manifestation process. And so I guess I'll start by saying that my manifestation process currently is with my work. So there's this way that I'm really wanting to serve people, and it's really been on my heart for years to serve in a way that really makes a difference, and that's sustainable, that people in working with me remember who they are. There's a tenderness that they get to return to that's always been there, that really is around who they are. There's a real tenderness around that work, and how can I offer that in a sustainable way? How can I offer a container that's really responsible, that's really alive, that allows for emergence, that allows for all of it, and so that's what I'm committed to. And One of the places that I've been out of integrity is, this is like less directly with my particular offerings, but still is a place to look, is that that is pretty directly related, I suppose, because it depends on the way you look at it. So for my program, I really wanted to have a certain collaboration take place, and then what happened was I didn't remain connected to what I was in service to. So what I was in service to is providing a certain opportunity for my participants, and I actually didn't hold firm to my vision of what I wanted to offer my participants, and that was the moment where I was inauthentic. I was out of alignment with what I really wanted to offer. Not that so I said yes to this collaboration that actually wasn't going to be the thing that I had in mind. It still would have served beautifully. It still would have served, but it didn't really match the vision that I was holding. And so that's where I was inauthentic, because I didn't say, oh, actually, that's not what I had in mind. That this collaboration isn't the vision I'm holding. And because I didn't do that, I got myself in a real sticky mess where I, said yes to something I wasn't really a yes to, and then there was some pedestaling, I had this person on a pedestal, and I had all this intimidation working in the background that I wasn't owning either, and acknowledging or admitting, trying to just pretend it wasn't there. And then I ended up actually finding, just a day later, a person that actually fit the bill. And then the way I handled the original collaboration, dissolving that, was just not respectful or transparent. And it was just this whole thing of where I just got weird and just didn't handle it well. I just got I just don't like any of this, and I just got just weird, and I wasn't transparent with either of the parties, and I wasn't owning anything. I was just trying to make it work for what I originally had planned, which I had dishonored from the get-go. So it's just this is what happens. This is what happens when we're inauthentic with what's true for us in the moment, and then we with the lack of transparency is really the lack of integrity. The lack of hey, you know what, something's getting all wonky here, and let me just say what's going on and just be transparent, which is really vulnerable. And like I mentioned, there was I had some intimidation in occurring for me, not from the person, but from my own personal insecurities, really. And so it was, I was called out and called in about how I wasn't handling it really well at all, with much respect or transparency. I was just kind of messy and immature. I don't know how else to say it, and I'm saying that now without a lot of judgment on myself, because it was just that was what I was capable of at the time. And then I realized that I am actually committed to being to transparency and to authenticity and to respect and to having tough conversations, not getting weird and hiding around the tough conversations. So I had those tough conversations, and it was really embarrassing and uncomfortable. And I did have a little bit of shame come up, for sure. I should have known better, I should have done better. And I even messed up twice. I cleaned it up once with the person, and then I didn't go far enough. I still was maybe they won't notice this other part. I'm not really I'm just not going to pay attention to that other part that's still kind of sticky and not acknowledged. It was just, a really good learning experience for me in the end of okay, just have the tough conversations. Own the thing that where you're responsible for getting sticky and weird, and then just say the thing, and and also feel into what is all this insecurity about, all this stuff. It's a lot of things to unpack. So another occurrence, that's one. So I got served with 3 Medra lessons within a span of a week. This was just last Sunday, everyone, and this is happening with 3 different occasions. that was one occasion. Another occasion, actually happened inside of the intensive. Inside of the intensive I was teaching, there was an occasion where a participant, was responding in a way that wasn't on point with what my original question was, and I was getting lost. I was getting lost in their response and confused, and I couldn't follow what they were saying, and I noticed that there was a couple things coming up for me, I wish I could understand what they're saying, and I can't, and I feel bad, and I also noticed I'm frustrated because there was a time crunch, so there was pressure, but people were coming in late, including this person, and it's I was having judgments, but I wasn't owning them, saying them, so there was all this stuff in my space, and so I didn't respond to this person well when they were kind of a little off thread from my original question. And when I tried to redirect, there was energy behind my redirection that wasn't clean, because I was dealing with this frustration about the timing, and I was dealing with just trying to understand where she was coming from and not getting it, and so I just had all this stuff going on, and so I didn't handle that very well either. What I could have done, what I'm really committed to, is that people feel seen and heard, and that what I'm also really wanting to own is authenticity. What was true for me was that I was really frustrated that there was that the time wasn't being honored, and that there wasn't ownership coming from other people about that, and so I didn't say anything, and at least not in the way where it could be completed, right? I'm not saying you go in there and judge people and this is where you're wrong. That's not the point of being, cleaning up where there's inauthenticities or things that are out of integrity. But it's just really clean, clear, just owning it, and then getting the impact, and then repairing it, restoring it, and then moving on. But I didn't do that, and so it was just in my space, and so I'm not committed to that either. I want this, the space to feel clear as I'm facilitating. So I had that to clean up with that participant, because my energy wasn't really great with my response with them, and so there's that. And then the third one, which I think for me, the first one was really embarrassing, because it's somebody that I really respect, almost to the point, I said, and almost intimidated by, because I so respect and revere this person, almost have them on a pedestal. So I'm still unpacking that, but it was just oh my god, just I wish the ground would just swallow me up. I'm so embarrassed. It's kind of mortifying, that kind of experience. The second one was also just I just was sad that I had an impact on someone, because I couldn't really hear them, or I couldn't understand them. So, and because I said, wasn't naming all the things in my space, I ended up responding with an energy charge that just wasn't really clean. So that I was just really kind of bummed about. And the third one is probably the most painful for me, because it was the worst nightmare for me. I mean, in the sense of as a facilitator, really caring about my clients, it was devastating for me to learn the hard way about where I in a coaching session, I ended up trying so hard to help the person in the way that I could see that they could really use support. And it sounds really nice, it was really coming from a genuinely oh, I could really help this person here, and if they just would do this, then this would really resolve this for them, and they would have a lot more whatever peace or joy, or that may be true. But the thing is that as a facilitator, I'm in service to this person and what is available for them right there, and I wasn't tracking that. I was really over here with me about what I saw as possible for them, beautiful, and it was a disservice. It was a disservice to this client, because I didn't stay with her and where she was at, and I'm still feeling the pain of that. So the inauthenticity would be that I didn't trust that my love was enough. Like, in other words, I was trying to be really good at what I was doing. I was trying to, like, it was just more about me. Like, of course, me wanting to help her, but, like, it was just, I wasn't over there with her, like, in exactly what she was experiencing. So I missed some pieces of where I should have been tracking. And because of that, it landed her in a spot that really didn't serve her. I mean, in the end, maybe it all serves us, right? But it could have been handled in a way where it was really delicate, and I could have handled it more delicately and just better. And so there's a consequence to that. And there's what feels like there's like a little bit, there's like damage. I'm trying not to make it overly significant over here, but I just acknowledge the impact of that. And so it was a tremendous learning for me to, like, just stay with the person and let love lead. Like, what would love do here, as opposed to what would Jackie, as a facilitator who thinks she knows the answer to what this person needs, do here, right? So instead of me thinking I had the answer, I just needed to follow this person more and trust love. And that's where I was inauthentic. Like, I didn't trust my love. I didn't trust that was enough. I thought I had to figure it out and provide the solution so that she could, arrive at a certain place. You could hear, like, my agenda for her. That's a better way of putting it. I had this, like, agenda, and doing that broke, some of the sanctity of the container, inadvertently, but quite overtly. And so, yeah, there's the impact of that, and it's painful for me, and I think for her too. So that's the inauthenticity, is not allowing love to lead. And then, being out of integrity is basically like saying, I'm going to hold this, that's my promise, is to hold safe space for my clients. And it wasn't the safest as soon once I got stuck on what my agenda was. That compromises the safety of the container, So all three things happened this week. Right after I delivered this whole workshop on this material. And that's what happens, is the universe is like, okay, if you're going to teach and facilitate to that, then you better integrate it deeper, my sweet. So I'm on the other side of it now. But all three of them were significantly humiliating, humbling, and deeply powerful learning experiences for me. And I will say that all three of those experiences anchored me in such a deeper way. It's like I'm grateful for these experiences because I can feel how much deeper and more related I am to what I'm in service to. And then we're back to what's authentic, what's authenticity, and what's in integrity. And it's just like, what's in service, or what is in alignment with what I'm in service to. Is responding in this way in service to what I'm in alignment to. Is coaching in this way in service to what I'm in alignment with what I'm in service to. Is communicating this way about when I change my mind. Like the little from little things to big things, it's everything. Is what I'm about to say and do in alignment with what I say I'm in service to. And I'm in service to love. And I really got that big time this week. And it was really beautiful to really get that, how much I just love. I love loving. And that's all I want to serve. I can't even, help it. It's like an undeniable, on my knees, I'm hopelessly in love with people and loving them. And so, if that's what I'm in service to, can I make every breath a prayer like that? That's a quote from somewhere, but I should probably look that up. But yeah, it's like every breath's a prayer, without getting overly significant, but it is significant, does my life reflect who I am and what I'm in service to? So I hope that supports you in considering where you might be being dishonest somewhere, or not really true to form of what you say you're committed to. And where the places where you do get sticky, that you feel equipped to meet those places and do what needs to be done to restore it for your own sake, because there's a big relief that happens when you restore that, for yourself and for all parties included. If you have any questions, put it in the comment box. Thanks for watching.